All right, so we're diving into something pretty interesting today. We got this guided meditation in Spanish, and, well, the listener who sent it in is curious about its potential for, like, telepathic communication.
Yeah.
So let's kind of unpack it and see what we can learn.
Sounds good.
So basically, this meditation, it's all about sending a message to someone you're close to.
Okay.
It could be anything, from expressing love to
Well,
even, like, asking a question.
interesting. So almost like a mental conversation.
Yeah, exactly, like a mental conversation.
What I find intriguing is this meditation, it doesn't just like mention this universal energy connecting us all. It actually like guides you to tap into that energy.
Right.
It talks about visualizing a cord of light linking you to the other person, which that's a technique found in various like mystical traditions. But
Yeah.
it's presented here in a very practical way, almost like step by step.
It definitely goes beyond just thinking about the person. It really encourages you to, like, feel their presence, as if they were right there in the room with you.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, there's even a part where it has you, like, mirroring their emotions on your own face.
Oh, wow. That's where it gets really interesting, I think, from like a neurological perspective. By physically mirroring someone's expressions,
Yeah.
you're activating the same neural pathways in your own brain that are firing in theirs. So it's kind of like a way of creating a simulated shared experience,
How interesting.
which could like theoretically enhance empathy and connection.
To give you a better sense of this, I actually want to play a short excerpt.
Okay.
This part focuses on how to establish that initial connection.
Okay.
So listen to this.
Okay.
Imagine a cord of bright light that extends from your heart center and goes directly to the heart center of that person. Feel the energy flowing through that cord, connecting you both in a luminous embrace. Now, I want you to bring to your mind's eye the image of that person. Observe them physically and focus your attention on all the details that make them who they are. The smile, the eyes, what you feel when you are close to that person. Allow it to be reflected on your face, those feelings you felt. Look them in the eyes. Feel present in this moment with them. Feel that presence. Don't put your attention on anything else, just on the connection between you two.
Wow.
What stood out to me there was the emphasis on the heart center.
Yeah.
It's not just about, like, a mental connection. It's about feeling it emotionally, too.
Yeah, that's a key distinction. A lot of like telepathy experiments, they focus on transmitting like images or symbols,
Right.
which is more of a like left brain analytical approach. This meditation is tapping into the right brain, the seat of emotions, intuition, that sense of interconnectedness.
And it really leans into that intuitive side. It even says at one point, don't force it, just allow the communication to flow naturally. That feels very different from the typical image-based telepathy exercises.
Right. It's almost as if this meditation is saying, forget about proving telepathy works. Instead, focus on cultivating a state of deep connection and see what happens. It's more about the journey than the destination.
It does make you wonder, though, what exactly is happening during that communication flow? Is it really telepathy, or is it just a heightened sense of empathy triggered by the visualization?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I'm not sure science has a definitive answer yet. But there is some fascinating research emerging on the role of mirror neurons in empathy. These neurons fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing the same action.
So if you're vividly imagining someone smiling, for example, your mirror neurons might be firing as if you were actually seeing them smile.
Exactly.
And that could lead to a feeling of connection, even without any actual telepathic transmission taking place.
Exactly. And the stronger that empathic connection, the more likely you are to like pick up on subtle cues and anticipate their thoughts and feelings.
Wow.
Whether that qualifies as quote unquote telepathy is open to interpretation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Even if it's just empathy, I don't think that diminishes the potential power of this meditation.
Right.
Think about it. If practicing this regularly can make you more attuned to the emotions and needs of your loved ones,
Yeah.
wouldn't that have a positive impact on your relationships?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're always talking about the importance of communication, but this goes beyond just words, you know?
Right.
It's about tapping into that deeper level of understanding, that sense of knowing what someone needs even before they say it.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting how the meditation specifically avoids setting any expectations for a response.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not about getting validation or trying to control the other person's thoughts or feelings.
Okay, yeah.
It's simply about sending a message of love, support, or understanding,
Mm,
and trusting that it will be received on some level.
that's a refreshing change from the usual back and forth we're used to in communication.
Right.
It's almost like a form of selfless connection, you know what I mean?
Exactly. It encourages you to shift your focus from what can I get from this interaction to what can I give?
Yeah.
And that shift in intention alone can be transformative, I think.
Speaking of transformation, the meditation also mentions the possibility of healing past hurts or misunderstandings through telepathic communication. Do you think there's any scientific basis for that?
Hmm. Well, we know that unresolved emotional baggage can create blockages in our relationships.
Right.
And while we can't, like, send telepathic apologies or explanations,
Yeah.
the act of intentionally sending loving energy could potentially shift the energy dynamics between two people.
Yeah, that makes me think about times when I've felt like a sudden urge to reach out to someone, only to find out later that they were going through a difficult time. Maybe those weren't just coincidences. Maybe those were moments of intuitive connection, even if we weren't consciously aware of it.
It's certainly possible. We tend to dismiss those kinds of experiences as random occurrences.
Yeah.
But what if our minds are more interconnected than we realize? What if those intuitive nudges are actually subtle forms of communication?
It's almost as if this meditation is giving us permission to explore those possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
to trust our intuition and see where it leads us.
And even if we never definitively prove the existence of telepathy, the act of engaging in this kind of practice can help us develop a more mindful and compassionate way of relating to others.
So it's not just about trying to send telepathic messages. It's about cultivating a deeper sense of presence, both in ourselves and in our interactions with others.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we are all part of a larger web of connection,
Yeah.
and that even our thoughts and emotions can have a ripple effect on those around us.
I'm curious, though, about the idea of sending a specific message, like asking a question or expressing a need. If we're not actually hearing a response, how do we know if the message has been received?
Well, the meditation doesn't offer any guarantees, but it does suggest paying attention to any shifts in your own feelings or intuition after sending the message.
So you might feel a sense of peace or resolution,
Yeah.
or you might get an intuitive nudge to take a certain action.
Exactly. It's about trusting those subtle cues and being open to the possibility that communication can happen on multiple levels.
That brings up an interesting point about the ethics of telepathic communication.
Mm-hmm.
What if someone is sending unwanted messages
Yeah,
or
right.
trying to manipulate someone else's thoughts?
Right. That's where the importance of intention comes in. This meditation emphasizes sending messages from a place of love, compassion, and respect for the other person's free will. It's not about trying to control or impose your will on someone else.
It's more about offering support,
Right.
sharing your feelings,
Hmm.
or simply letting someone know that you're thinking of them.
Right. It's about using this potential ability for good,
Yeah.
for strengthening connections
Right.
and fostering understanding.
Which aligns with the idea of using telepathy for healing and reconciliation.
Right.
If you approach it from a place of genuine care and a desire to mend broken bridges,
Mm-hmm.
it seems less likely to be perceived as invasive or manipulative. Okay, so we've gone through this meditation and we've explored, some of the science and even the mystery a little bit behind this idea of telepathic communication.
Right.
But what does it all mean for the listener? Like, what can you take away from this? If you're intrigued by, this idea of a deeper connection, where do you even begin to go from here?
Well, I think, this deep dive has really challenged us to think a little differently, about how we connect with others. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, the practicalities of communication, phone calls, texts, emails.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But what if that's only, just scratching the surface of what's possible?
It's like we've been handed this amazing toolbox,
Yeah.
but we've only been using a hammer and nails.
Yeah.
And there are all these other incredible tools
Exactly.
just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, and I think this meditation, regardless of whether you believe in telepathy or not, can be seen as like a way to start exploring those other tools.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a sense of openness,
Mm-hmm.
curiosity, a willingness to, experiment with different ways of connecting.
It also seems to be about, like, trusting your intuition, you know?
Yeah.
The meditation, it really encourages you to pay attention to, like, those subtle feelings and nudges,
Right.
which can be so easy to dismiss,
Yeah.
especially in our noisy,
Mhm.
information-overloaded world.
That's such a crucial point. I mean, we're constantly like bombarded with external stimuli,
Yeah.
which can, really drown out that inner voice.
Right.
This meditation is almost like a training ground.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For learning to listen to that quieter, more intuitive part of ourselves.
And if those, like, intuitive whispers are actually subtler forms of communication from others,
Right.
that opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
It certainly does. Imagine a world where we're more attuned to each other's needs,
Yeah, yeah.
where we can offer support and understanding without even needing to speak.
Right.
It might sound, a little far-fetched, but
Yeah.
who knows what we're capable of if
Right.
we
Yeah.
simply open ourselves to the possibility.
So if you're listening to this and feeling, inspired to explore, like, your own telepathic potential,
Mhm.
where would you say is a good first step?
I'd say start by simply paying more attention to your own intuition in everyday life.
Uh-huh.
Notice those moments when you think of someone right before they call,
Mm-hmm.
or you have a strong feeling about something that
Yeah.
turns out to be true.
Right.
And don't dismiss those experiences as just, mere coincidence. Maybe they're like glimpses into a deeper level of connection that we're only beginning to understand.
That's a good point.
And if you're drawn to the idea of like intentional telepathic communication,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, try out the meditation that you sent us,
Yeah.
approach it with an open mind and heart and just see what unfolds.
Even if you don't, like, experience anything overtly telepathic,
Yeah.
you might find that the practice itself, it brings a sense of peace, clarity, and even connection to your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And who knows?
Yeah.
You might even surprise yourself with what you discover.
Absolutely.
The human mind is, it's a vast and mysterious landscape.
Right.
And we're only just beginning to, like, map its potential.
Exactly. Yeah.
So to wrap things up, dear listener, we invite you to embark on your own exploration. Cultivate your intuition, experiment with different ways of connecting, and above all, stay curious. The world of telepathic communication may be more accessible than you think. Until next time, keep diving deep.